Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about the I and you messages from Teen Living Semester 1. There's a lesson on this during the course and then an assignment that is completed. When we talk about I and you messages, it's talking about communication and communication with people in our life, those relationships that we have in our life. Communication is so important. It's how we get across what we need, what our feelings are, that sort of thing, and then vice versa for people to let us know what they're thinking, what they need, those sorts of things. And there's a positive way to communicate and a negative way to communicate. And it's really important to stay away from the negative way of communicating because it doesn't get anything across. It doesn't build healthy relationships. It doesn't help strengthen the relationship. It doesn't help solve the problem. It usually just makes more problems. So some of the things that we want to avoid when we're communicating with these people are these different types of aggressive communication characteristics. And so one is loud, being loud, trying to yell, trying to dominate somebody based on how loud you are is aggressive and it's going to come off wrong. People are going to not want to listen, think that that person's rude, mean, doesn't care about anybody, and just creating more problems with that type of communication. Being sarcastic can be one as well, threatening, and then inappropriate language, and that could be disrespectful words, cursing, gestures, violence, anything like that. We want to stay away from those things so that we don't come across aggressive. Like I said, it's not going to help the situation. It's going to make the situation worse, and it's going to create more problems for the person that's trying to communicate. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us, and we end up being loud because of our emotions or something like that. But if you're a type of person that's something that you see yourself doing a lot, thinking about what can I do in those situations that will help me not show those aggressive behaviors so that I don't ruin or I don't hurt those relationships that I have to then go back and fix. So you messages are something that when we communicate, we want to stay away from. You messages usually will escalate the situation. So when we're talking to somebody about a situation, a problem that has come up, using a you message is going to escalate the situation and not make the situation any better. It's going to make it so that we have more to fix than we did to begin with. It's a statement about the other person. So it usually always begins with you or has lots of yous in it. And it's that blameful way of speaking. It's your fault. You're the one that did it. You're stupid. Those sorts of things. And so when you're in a type of situation where somebody's using you messages, people are going to get angry. They're going to become hurt, and or they could become embarrassed. And we know that those are all strong emotions that person then is usually going to react in maybe a negative way, or it could have, we could be talking about a small problem, but now the problem's huge because the person feels hurt now, or the person feels embarrassed. And so it's just added, it's escalated that situation. So a couple examples of you messages is you made me mad when you told me I couldn't go to the football game. We want to share our emotions with the people in our life, but saying it a different way can make all the difference. You didn't clean up the kitchen as you promised to do. You didn't get your work done last night, so I had to do your work and mine. You always act like a little child. Why do you always think my opinion doesn't count? So you can see, if somebody said those to you, it could provoke some anger, some hurt, and it could provoke some feeling of embarrassment. And so it's not a positive way to communicate. I am making it harder to solve the issue. Instead of us just talking about the kitchen didn't get cleaned up and the other person was supposed to do it, now I could also be dealing with a person that's angry because of how I've talked to them about the issue. You always act like a little child. So maybe something happened and the person did something they weren't supposed to do. So now instead of just talking about that one thing that needs to be changed, now the person probably feels embarrassed and I have another issue that I need to deal with. If you think about it in your life, sometimes where you've been communicating with somebody and somebody talked to you in this way. And if you really think about the situation, it probably provoked one of those or more than one of those emotions. Doesn't mean that you acted out negatively towards them, because maybe you were able to hold it back, but maybe later you said something to them, or you went and talked to a friend or a different family member about it. And so it did escalate the situation, even though maybe in that moment it didn't come out. So a way to communicate in a positive manner is using I messages. And I messages is because it starts with I. And with I messages, they are less threatening and people don't feel like you're accusing them of something. Talking about how I as a person feel about a certain situation. So I'm not projecting the blame on somebody else or anything like that. I'm still talking about the issue. I'm still talking about how I'm feeling about it. I'm still talking about what needs to be changed. I'm just thinking about how to word it so that I don't escalate the situation. iMessages have more of a shared feeling to it. And in a relationship, that's kind of back and forth, shared feelings and concerns about something. They always begin with I's. It states the problem without blaming somebody for it. And then even if I was using a you statement, but I wasn't trying to blame the person, it still can come across as that. And iMessages do not do that. So it's a very respectful way to communicate. So here's some examples. I was really disappointed when I came home and found the kitchen a total mess. So if you go back and think about this first you message example, you made me mad when you sorry, wrong one. Number 2, you didn't clean up the kitchen as you promised to do. I was really disappointed when I came home and found the kitchen a total mess. I'm still talking about what didn't get done. The kitchen didn't get cleaned up, but I'm talking about what are my emotions from that. And I was really disappointed. I think that the I message comes across and gives more of an example of how it made me feel. And I'm not accusing. The person's not going to immediately go into defense mode. And usually with you messages, the first thing the person's going to do is become defensive in any case. I messages have less of a tendency for the person to become super defensive about it. Number 2, I was really upset and stressed when I found I had to do all my work and your work too. So again, I'm talking about what are my emotions. I was upset and stressed when I found out I had to do my work and your work too. And then I am upset because I am not allowed to go to the football game. So if we go back again and we look at example 1 for you messages, you made me mad when you told me I couldn't go to the football game. I'm saying the exact same thing with I, but I'm just saying a different way so it's not accusatory. I am upset because I am not allowed to go to the football game. So thinking about how can I change my you messages into I messages? And as we go through our life and we communicate with people, really think about if you have an issue or situation you have to deal with, how can I say this to make sure that I'm not going to escalate the situation and I'm not going to make somebody become super defensive? How I'm going to do that is by creating an I message. So in your assignment, there's 3 examples. They are all written as you messages. And for the assignment, you need to go back through and you need to write it as an I message. So just as you saw with these examples on here, changing it to an I message. I'm still talking about my feelings. I'm still talking about what the situation was, but I'm not adding that extra defense part of it when I use a you message. I hope this helped.